Folks, let's be serious here for a minute, and that is what this requires. No lessons will be learned from this situation that is taking place in Minnesota right now because the people who are involved don't want to learn any lessons. And you may be thinking, well, Dale, you must be talking about the Trump administration. No, I'm not. I'm talking about the protesters. I'm talking about the people who are anti-ICE. I'm talking about all these people who are completely wrong on this issue. They will learn absolutely nothing from this. They'll learn nothing. They will continue down this exact same destructive path where over and over and over again, people get hurt. They claim those people being hurt is justification for their behavior that got them hurt in the first place. They will then claim that the administration should stop whatever it's doing because people are getting hurt. And that's not going to work either. None of this is going to work out in your favor. You are going to continue doing this for absolutely no reason to no possible discernible gain. I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows Monday through Friday from 5 to 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville, from 10 until noon in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Talk Radio 102.3, and all over the place online. There's videos. There's all sorts of stuff on whatever channel you're seeing this on. But if you stumble across this, please give me a like, a follow, subscribe, or whatever you're supposed to do on those sites. Let's go ahead and get right to it. There's a correct answer to all of this, and I put the answer out about 24 hours ago yesterday, and it goes a little something like this. You don't know shit about this latest shooting, and no one is making you comment on it. No one's making you run out and voice your opinion. Nobody is making you say anything about this. But people rush to their Twitter, their Facebook, their YouTubes, etc., to say things that they know nothing about. They didn't care. They'd already had their baked-in opinion, and they were going to roll with it. I'm not suggesting I'm smarter than these people. I'm telling you, I'm smarter than these people. And it makes no sense to run out there and run your mouth when you know very little about what's actually going on. Unfortunately, that doesn't stop too many people from doing it. Again, you don't know anything about this. There's nobody out there making you comment on it. You don't have to do it, but you're going to anyway. No one's paying you for your opinions. But your opinions are just as worthy as mine. Only I get paid for mine, so maybe mine are worth a little bit more. But there was still no reason to run out there and run your mouth about this when you have no idea what went on there. And I saw both sides. It's a good shoot. It's a good shoot. It's a good shoot. Or it's an execution. It's a murder. I also watched as people commented on other people's Christianity or the Second Amendment or any other thing. In all of this, remember this. The death of Renee Good, the death of Alex Pretti, all these guys. Understand this. They mean nothing. They are insignificant, irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. And you will watch as people run out and try to suggest that this is justification for ending the immigration program and saying we've got to stop. After all, look what happened to these individuals. This is because of this immigration program. No, it's not. It's because of their actions. They did this. And the people who are sitting at home egging all of this on, and from LA and New York and Washington, D.C. and Birmingham, Alabama, and anywhere else, they're not getting involved in this. They're not getting involved in it. They're telling you to get involved in this. I mean, look right here. Indivisible, 5th District, North Alabama. What can you do? What can I do about this? And you're supposed to paint something on a sign and get out in the streets. And that'll do something about it. Only it won't do anything about it. It won't. What's happening right now in Minnesota is the lawful actions of an entity that was put together by our elected officials in a representative republic, funded over and over and over again to do just this, to go out and find illegal immigrants and to bring them to justice and put them out of the country. Now you can say, but legal citizens are being arrested by ICE. Yes, because they're interfering with law enforcement and they're impeding them. They're out there blowing whistles in the middle of the street while they're trying to conduct law enforcement measures. Go look at the shooting here, and all you can hear is whistles and screaming and honking of horns. You morons. You're taking a tense situation and you're making it worse by removing anyone's ability to operate rationally in that situation. You're blowing whistles in the ear of law enforcement. You're screaming at them. You're calling them Nazis and murderers and all these other things. And then you wonder why these law enforcement officers aren't maybe understanding that this individual who had a gun and multiple magazines at a protest, no, he was just there to render aid. It just looked like he was fighting with law enforcement and not complying. And maybe that's true. But all the blowing of whistles and honking of horns, is that helping? It's surely not ending it. And just from a purely logical standpoint, you do realize that more people are being arrested by ICE than would be if you stopped getting in the streets and going crazy. They're asking, hey, Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, give us access to your jails and let us take the bad guys away. Stop releasing them onto the streets so we have to go pick them up. Well, when they go pick them up, remember, they're out there trying to pick up Bobby Joe. And when they get there, Peggy Sue and Billy May and all these other people are out there. And they say, what are you doing hanging out with this criminal illegal aliens? And they go, okay. And then they're picked up and they find themselves in the system as well. That's the truth. You ask why they're not in red states or red cities doing this. And simply put, it's because they don't have to. Local law enforcement is helping them. They're not having to go out there with no protection and pick these people up. For the most part, they're picking them up from jails in Texas and Florida. That's not what's happening here. They're making them go out to the street and find them. And then they're doing nothing as the lunatics come out in the streets and start blowing whistles and screaming at them. So what can you do? How about this? Stop being assholes. That would probably be a good start. But that's not what we're hearing, because Indivisible 5th District, North Alabama, and all these other places, they want to tell you that what's happening is the worst thing that's ever happened. They're horrified. They're sickened by the murder of this individual in Minneapolis. And they want you to prepare for what comes next. Yes, they want you to contact your legislators and barrage them. Yes. Well, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And you need to understand that. It's just not going to work. They also tell them to email their local Huntsville City Council rep, because there's no pending ICE resolution to prevent ICE from partnering with HPPD. Guys, think about this. They want you to contact your local authorities, no matter where you are, and tell them not to work with ICE. That's why this is happening in Minnesota, and they're learning nothing by it. Don't work with ICE. Don't work with ICE. Don't work with ICE. ICE doesn't need you to work with them. It's just a lot easier if you do. So they want what's happening in Minnesota to happen in this instance in Huntsville, Alabama. And you can contact Chuck Schumer or whoever you want. They're not listening to you if you're not from your district, and they're probably not listening to you anyway. They also have a statewide rally coming. Yes, not the one that happened the other day, yesterday. They're having another statewide rally, which totally isn't the law of diminishing returns. They're totally doing something here. They're begging you, get involved. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And then just look at the first comment. The spin the Trump administration is putting on this man's murder is sickening. But the most disgusting part is that all the MAGA faithful are ready to go and put this out here and swallow it whole. The man is dead, and before his body's even cold, the White House machinery is already grinding out a narrative to protect power instead of the truth. Their base doesn't ask for evidence. They don't wait for facts. They don't demand accountability. They just believe. Yeah, like all the people who believe that if you get mad enough online, that maybe they'll just stop enforcing the law. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I do want to get into the Second Amendment stuff here in just a second, so stay tuned for that. I see some people asking that question. Moving on, here's some other things that are happening. And a lot of this will be Alabama focused because that's where I live. So that's what my Facebook feed looks like. So I just went through and grabbed some stuff off my Facebook because I wanted to look at it. But look at this stuff. Elizabeth White, don't know who she is, doesn't matter. Protest at Toomer's Corner. A protest vigil was held at Toomer's Corner tonight, drawing community members to speak out against immigration and enforcement issues. Speak out on immigration. They're not against immigration, excuse me. Organizers say the gathering was briefly interrupted, but participants remained calm and chose not to engage, and that event concluded without further incident. What was it briefly interrupted by? Does anyone know? Anyone know? I mean, look at the photo. It might be a clue as to what it might have been interrupted by. What was it interrupted by? People rolling the trees, which is a tradition. Is that it? Is that what it was interrupted by? Could that possibly be it? Maybe. Is that what it was? Oh, that's exact. Okay, that's exactly what it was. So you want to make sure that they beat my Florida Gators yesterday. That's why they were rolling. They weren't interrupting it. But see, always the victim here. Can't even understand. They're holding a protest at Toomer's Corner, and at Auburn, they rolled Toomer's Corner after victories. Okay? Auburn beat Florida yesterday, so they rolled the corners. And here we go. Oh, they were interrupted. Give me a break. By who? Oh, by people who are going on about their lives. Got it. And I know. The whole point is to make people uncomfortable. I get it. In Birmingham, this story isn't related to what happened yesterday, but it is interesting. The Democratic Socialists of America came out and said that Birmingham is being swallowed like a snake by ICE. It makes absolutely no sense. None. But here they are saying that. And they're protesting. What they did also say is what's unfolding in Minneapolis in Operation Metro Surge is nothing short of a federal occupation. This comes from the Democratic Socialists of America. It's not an occupation. It's a law enforcement operation. What that the locals are not participating in. And by the way, now you've got the National Guard going out there. What's happening? What do you think the National Guard's doing? I know there's some pipe dream that the National Guard's going to be fighting the federal government here. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That is not where this is going. We're not going to be in a situation where the National Guard is fighting the law enforcement. What they're going to do is they're going to provide security for them. So good job. Another huge victory by our friends on the left. But they say ICE is surrounding Birmingham like a snake. Like a snake, guys. That's what they're doing. So I said I wanted to talk a little bit about the Second Amendment side of this. Josh Moon is a complete malcontent loser in the state of Alabama. He writes for the Alabama Political Reporter part-time. Other than that, he lives in his wife's basement. But there's a take that he's sort of participating in that's worth noting. He says, gotta say, quite a surprise to hear guns make us safer. The crowd that says gun makes us safer argue today that merely having one is grounds to be shot dead in the streets by a government agent, which of course nobody's saying. And I liken what Josh Moon's doing here on the Second Amendment to how I feel when non-Christians tell me that X isn't Christian enough, this isn't what Jesus would do, they were immigrants, all this other nonsense. You don't care about Christianity or religion until you think you can wield it as a weapon. And I haven't heard anyone say, in fact, there seems to be some discontent and discord on the right amongst gun advocates who are saying that no, merely having a gun doesn't make you a fair target to be shot. But that's not what happened. Him having that gun surely made this way worse. But the fighting with the cops is what made this go down. And I know Tim Wall said, don't call them law enforcement agents. They're not. They are law enforcement. You can not want them to be all day, but they absolutely are. And this idea that these guys are like, what about gun rights, is so stupid and embarrassing because you know they don't give a damn about gun rights. You know they don't care. And the chaos this guy started and engaged in by interfering, and there's a video of him like trying to do like traffic enforcement or whatever, like telling cars to come through during an enforcement operation. You gotta leave these guys alone. You start impeding with law enforcement, stuff's gonna go south. For you. Not for them, for you. And if Josh Moon actually cared about these people, which he doesn't, again, he's sitting in a basement telling people you should get out there and mix it up. Bring your guns to a protest. Sure, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hey, get out there, bring your guns to a protest, mix it up with agents, and then ask yourself, why did it go so bad? He had an optical sight, he had a gun, he had multiple magazines. Usually guys like Josh Moon would be furious about that. I'm more mad that he was fighting the cops. I'm more mad that he lost his life for absolutely no reason. So, yeah, him having a gun there is not a reason for him to be shot, but it didn't help. Didn't help. You're fighting with cops, and they see you have a gun. What do you think they're going to do? They're obviously going to be more interested in what you're doing, and I would say quicker on the draw than they would be if you didn't have a gun. Oh, but someone grabbed the gun and took it away. Yeah, you're asking a lot of those guys in those moments, and that's why it's stupid to engage in this stuff. And to pretend that, oh, well, the gun was taken away, he was disarmed when he was shot. You think they shot him for the fun of it? No. It's because it's a chaotic situation solely started by the individual who is now dead. And you guys want to have like some sort of moral victory here? Like, oh, this means we can't truly have gun rights in this country. Oh, I guess the immigrant. No, you're not going to get any of that. He is going to fade into obscurity. He is going to be irrelevant to the entire conversation. And you're going to scream, say his name. And you can say his name all you want. They're not going to pull out, folks, and stop doing ICE enforcement. They're not. And in fact, now the National Guard is in there. This isn't working out in your way. You're making things worse. More violence because crowds are fighting with and impeding law enforcement. You will now have the National Guard and more individuals involved than ever before. You want to talk about gun rights? I'll tell you how you talk about gun rights. You be a responsible gun owner. This guy was not being a responsible gun owner. He had a weapon on him. It was impeding law enforcement. That is not a responsible gun owner. We don't claim him. Sorry. But you can pretend that you care about that all day. Now here we have the moments leading up to it, and we see this different videos popping up in different places. I'm fine to play it and hear it. I'm okay with this. I think that this is amazing. There's fighting going on. They're impeding with law enforcement. They're mixing it up, and it sucks. This sucks because it didn't have to happen. But the minute law enforcement says, stop, get on the ground, that's what you got to do. That's all you got to do. And you can tell me how he was trying to help this or that or any of these other things. It's not his role. It's not smart for him to do, and it doesn't help anybody. And you can have more people out there with guns trying to phones trying to get involved. You got more people standing in the road. You have all this stuff going on. And you can zoom in and show the gun and show before he got shot and all that stuff. And guess what? What did the folks on the scene think while that chaotic nonsense was going on? What did they think? You can tell me all the great stories about this guy, how he worked for the VA, how he was a nurse helping people, and all this other stuff. All true. I'm sure he was a great guy. But man, he made a really stupid decision that cost him his life. And let the investigation play out. You want to charge these officers? If they did something wrong, go right ahead. I got no problem with that. But know that even if they find every single one of these officers guilty, every single one of them, it was still a stupid decision on his part that led to his own death. An irrelevant death. A pointless death. So whether this shooting is good, like the Renee Good shooting, or not, is irrelevant. He's still dead. And for no reason. Maybe you get an ICE agent charged with a crime or something. I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's very unlikely that that's what's going to happen. What's most likely going to happen is it's going to be found to be a good shoot because this guy was impeding law enforcement. There was a chaotic scene and the officers feared for their lives. They shouldn't have feared for their lives. He was exercising his Second Amendment. That's a cool story. But it doesn't really matter, does it? No. Speaking of things that don't matter, the 50-51 movement. Look at these individuals. A bunch of geriatric old white people lighting a light for the guy who lost his life. And look, they're lighting a candle for him. And look at all these likes. 2,700 likes. Wow. They really have done something here as they sit inside their nice home. Well, knuckleheads are out in the street slugging it out for them. They're continuing to push it. They're continuing to applaud it. I'm lighting a candle for this guy who lost his life for absolutely no reason and who will accomplish not a damn thing. But hey, look, they lit the candle for him. Look at what they did. They lit the candle. They're not going out there when it's cold outside. I'm not going to Minnesota to fight for this. I'm not doing this. What are you talking about? Wow. I did something. Local news. Birmingham, WBRC 6 News. Democrats demand that federal immigration officers leave Minnesota after a Border Patrol agent fatally shot a man in Minneapolis, drawing hundreds of protesters onto the frigid streets and increasing tensions in a city already shaken by a shooting deaths weeks earlier. Hey, did it work last time? No, it didn't. Okay, well, this time it will. And if you just get a few more of your people shot and killed, you'll be better off. If a few more people die, then maybe they'll pull those people out. They're not going to do that. You're not going to win this way. You're not going to win this way. You keep fighting the cops, and just keep sending more in. Maybe you win in the midterms because of it. But I can't believe a constant, nonstop insurrection in the city is going to help you. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think most Americans look at this and go, yeah, these guys are right. I want more of this. Put the people who are rioting in the streets in power. That's what I want. It demanded the federal immigration officers leave Minnesota. No, that's not going to happen. That's why these deaths are pointless. You can hold the signs. You can say their names. You can demand that immigration enforcement stop because stupid white people are throwing their lives away. No. Okay? It sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. I don't want any of these people dead. But they seem to have a death wish. And they think getting involved and saying it's a protest allows them, I guess, the ability, invincibility, I believe. But they don't. They think they have it, but they don't. And what was the point of the gun? Let me just, ask the question. I mean, I concealed carry sometime. I've taken my handgun to protest in places. You're not supposed to. I believe it's actually illegal in Alabama, but I could be wrong about that. But it doesn't matter. I have. But this guy's interfering with cops. What is the purpose? I just want to know why he had his firearm and what the purpose was. Does he carry a firearm in 2 magazines everywhere he goes? Does he do that? And if he does, okay. I've never do that. I mean, I carry the rounds that are in my gun. Yes, that's it. I don't have extra magazines with me. Maybe I should start carrying them. I don't know. But if I did, the minute I start getting sideways with law enforcement, I would say, I have a gun. I have a gun, and I would make that argument immediately known. But Democrats are demanding that federal immigration officers leave Minnesota, which is surely not going to happen. So way to go. Here's another one for you. He was murdered by ICE, not performing immigration enforcement at all, but acting as Trump's secret police. They'll leave Minnesota if it gives them voter data, says Pam Bondi. Fascism is here. No one is safe. That is not none of that was said. We'll leave if you give us voter data. I mean, this is the official Alabama Democratic Party post. They'll leave if they give them voter data. I mean, it's just an absolutely asinine thing to say because it's not what they're saying. What they're saying is give them access to your jails. Okay? And they're saying it's about voter data. It's so ridiculous. Now, Bondi is saying that she wants voter rolls, welfare data to help bring back law and order in the wake of shootings. She is pushing them to give them this information. It's not, we'll leave if you give this to us. In the letter that was sent by CBS News, or sent and obtained by CBS News, she urged the state of Minnesota to scrap all sanctuary policies and cooperate fully with immigration and customs enforcement, including giving the agency access to all local jails and honoring federal agencies' requests to detain people. Quote, I am confident that the simple steps will help bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans, Bondi wrote in her letter to the governor Saturday. But look at this. Look at this. They're acting as Trump's secret police, and they'll leave if they get immigration data. Look at all these people. Well, not that many because the Alabama Democratic Party is pretty sad. But vote blue. We need unity to stop this. This is the argument that these people are making. And you really, really feel for them because they're being misled. They're absolutely being misled. And this is, wow, this is a good question here being asked. I don't think you'll get much of an answer. Do you think maybe he should have left his gun at home? Maybe he shouldn't have went out and put his hands on a federal police officer. Stop being crazy, guys. Of course, MAGA would spin it this way. Watch the video, dude. They put their hands all over him to begin with and then shot him about 6 times. Besides, whatever happened to the Second Amendment, open carry. And by the way, they're not police. Dude, you're out of your mind on this. You're going to think you're going to make this argument. And then there's this. How to avoid ICE. Don't be here illegally. Don't attack ICE officers and obey federal and state law. I know that's going to upset you. But this right here is how you got Donald Trump. And if they win in the midterms, this is going to be why. This is why you get to keep Donald Trump. And if you get 10 more terms of Donald Trump, this is why. This is the nonsense that you're bringing to the table that's finding you in these situations. And you should stop doing that. Okay? Knock it off. Now, let's get into individual candidates that are running for office. This is Jeremy DeVito. Jeremy Takes the House is his handle. And he is trying his best to be the radical Antifa guy. You'll see a video from him in just a second. But he says abolishing ICE is the position. And it's the moderate position right now is abolishing ICE. Because they've declared it. The people who declare themselves Antifa and say all these things, they get to declare what the moderate position is, and you just have to lap it up. And it's just ridiculous. And I see Jeremy DeVito is here, and I love him for being here. I just wish he wasn't such a pansy. And he wasn't afraid of the debate that he claimed that we were going to have. But I do appreciate him watching. Thank you so much. Abolish ICE is the position. Anything less means you don't understand the gravity of what's happening, and we need to protect Americans. Okay, that's fine. You're quoting Mehdi Hassan. I'm sure that's the moderate position here. The moderate position is to abolish ICE, which is never going to happen. Democrats voted to fund ICE the other day. It just is never, ever, ever going to work the way they want it to work. Remember, this death, pointless. Accomplished nothing and irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Sad. Oh, hell yeah, it's sad. It's pathetic. But there is no reason to believe that they're going to get what they want out of it. And they can sacrifice numerous, ridiculous people to this cause, and it's still not going to work. You're not going to win by claiming that these people are dead because of they're dead because they fought with law enforcement. Now, whether or not law enforcement was justified in killing them, I think there should be an investigation. And yeah, I think Minnesota should investigate. I think the federal government should investigate. I think they all should investigate. I got absolutely no problem with that. And really, that's one of the main reasons and one of the main ways that Trump and them have gotten this wrong. Okay, the Trump administration, and they're like, oh no, we're not going to let Minnesota investigate. At the same time, Keith Ellison shouldn't be investigating anything. You saw they handled the church situation clearly against the law. They know it, but they don't care. So they're continuing this. So he's compromised as well. Look, if we want to go and have these battles over whoever's in charge gets to control the law, which is basically how Democrats wanted to live and how they're claiming they're going to live if they win, then fine. But you're in the phase where you're not in control right now.
My name is Jeremy DeVito. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives. And
by the way, he will come in third at best. Jeremy DeVito will come in third at best. Okay, I just want to make that as clear as possible. He can be as radical as he wants. He has no real organization behind him. He just has TikTok videos and Facebook videos and stuff. The other candidates, including Andrew Sneed, who we'll talk about here in just a second, used to be a huge Dale Jackson listener until he told me, basically with tears in his eyes, that he used to listen to my show, but I've changed. Sure. I'm sure that's true. But anyway, here we go. Jeremy DeVito.
in Alabama's 5th Congressional District. And let me say this loudly and clearly so that you don't misunderstand. Abolish ICE now. We are at a critical moment in our nation's history, and I need you to hear me. Today, in 2026, a far-right military organization is killing people in this country indiscriminately.
Indiscriminately. Now, I'd asked Jeremy DeVito to define indiscriminately, but he couldn't do it correctly. It's not indiscriminately. That's just not what's happening. The two people that have been killed recently, Natalie Good and this individual yesterday, were not killed indiscriminately. Both of them made terrible decisions that led to their unfortunate deaths. Both of them were completely in charge of their own freedom and their own ability to control their outcomes. And they decided to fight with cops. That's a mistake. Or to try to run over a cop. Maybe by accident, but you know, that cop's not obligated to figure out what's inside Renee Good's mind. Okay? That's not their job. They don't have to do that. They get to go home. If you want to fight with them, go right ahead. If it goes poorly, that's unfortunate for you. Investigate.
They're committing state-sponsored violence and terror against the people of the United States. This agency, known as ICE, are violating the Constitution openly and willingly. They are kidnapping people, shipping them off to camp, and we have to stop them. They're
not kidnapping people. They are arresting people who are in the country illegally, mostly who have orders to be deported and be detained. At times, they are finding individuals with those individuals who have other issues, including being in the country illegally, which is, of course, a crime. Oh, it's not a real crime. It's a misdemeanor. Still a crime, Don Lemon. You can still be put in jail for it. You can still be detained for it. You can claim it's a minor crime, and maybe I'll agree with you there, but it is still a crime. It's a civil crime. No, it's a criminal act. So let's stop pretending. And you can be detained for it. And in fact, guys like Jeremy DeVito, he's actually leading to more people being arrested by calling for them not to work with ICE, for calling for people to resist, for calling for all these things. What you're having is people finding themselves in the middle of the criminal justice system. And when they can't pick someone up at the jail, so instead they go to their house to get them, and they find 3 other illegals there, guess what happens? Those illegals get picked up as well. Seems pretty stupid, but it's the way they're living.
Must hold them accountable. I'm asking you, please join me in demanding a moratorium on all ICE activities and a complete and thorough investigation over the last 12 months.
You know, Jeremy DeVito, if he was smart, which he's not, he would go to Minnesota and start fighting with cops. Instead of insisting that others do it, why doesn't he go do it himself? Oh, that's right. That's right, because he's just another white guy living in Alabama claiming he's a revolutionary. I'd have him on my show. I'd have him on all the time. All he has to do is acknowledge that he's a liar and made a false statement about me. He called me a racist. Why? Oh, that was simple. He called me a racist, and this was wonderful, because I laid out exactly how and why the courts came in and redrew Alabama's 2nd congressional district. And he wants to claim that that's racist or something. That's fine, but I'm not going to put up with and debate with people who are arguing in bad faith. If he does apologize, I'll be more than happy to have him back on the program. We can discuss the stupid take he has here.
Join me in calling for the impeachment of Kristi Noem. This will continue to get worse unless we are clear and forceful about what needs to happen. We are all in danger. Our Congress is complicit, and the only way that we're going to stop this is by being loud and standing together.
He's doing nothing. He's doing race. He's doing really, really stupid things. And he is suggesting that we just stand up and fight and all these other things. Yet he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it.
Abolish ICE. End this terror campaign today.
No. That has as much chance of happening as you do of being elected to Congress. Hell, of even winning the primary, he'll come in third. And again, I know he's out there, but I'll just say this again. You come on, you apologize for calling me a racist, we can have a conversation. But until you do that, I cannot engage with you in a serious way other than mock you by playing your videos. Now, Andrew Snead is one of the opponents running there against him in that Democratic primary. He's probably going to win the whole thing, mostly because I'm not saying he's the moderate choice, but he used to listen to my radio show, so at least he's the smartest one there. He has a piece out as well, which is less dumb than Jeremy DeVito's, but that's just a marginal thing. So he says that ICE murdered an ICU nurse, a committed citizen, and a lawful carrier who believed in serving others and defending his freedoms. His loss raises questions about balance, accountability, and leadership. Now more than ever, we need principled voices in Congress to demand transparency and justice. I mean, really saying nothing at all. At all. That's all. But he's going to get them, guys. He's going to show you. And they go on, and he lays out a couple of arguments that we've heard a lot, that he's legally carrying. He does so because he's the kind of person who's willing to put themselves in harm's way to protect even a complete stranger. Against ICE, against law enforcement? That is stupid. And again, they continue doing this and arguing that you need to put yourself in harm's way in order to protect illegal immigrants, criminals, sex traffickers, pedophiles, drug dealers, some who just broke into the country and are common criminals. Those are the guys you need to get in front of and stop and make sure you protect. God, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I love the idea that these guys are defending the Second Amendment. I love it. Welcome to the party, guys. Welcome to the party. Alex was killed by an undertrained, overzealous paramilitary force who the state of military has reportedly asked to be removed. You say undertrained all the time, which is kind of funny. They talked about how the guy who shot Renee Good was undertrained, and then they learned that, oh, wait, he wasn't. They talked about how he was an outsider, and they realized, oh, wait, he wasn't. So all their arguments were false, including that she didn't hit him with the car, which she did, and they can't own that stuff. It's kind of pathetic. But there they are. Those guys are both running for Congress. Both are losers. Neither will win. Moving on. Different uniform, same playbook. This ought to calm things down. This ought to make things better. This ought to be a really, 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 really good thing to do. Start referring to people as racist. Start referring to them as Nazis and suggest that this is the same thing. It's not. It's not the same thing at all. And you're calling your fellow Americans Nazis and suggesting that ICE officers are executing people in the street. That's not what's happening here. That is not what is happening here. And to say that, all that does is continue to make all of this worse. But that's okay. You guys who are doing this are not going out and fighting cops. You're just antagonizing others to get them out there fighting cops and getting them killed every single time. Now, Kyle Sweetser, I believe his name is, he is running for United States Senate from Alabama, and he also wants you to know that ICE is a paramilitary organization killing people.
ICE just murdered another American citizen in broad daylight on camera with the entire interaction filmed for the world to see. They executed this man and then double tapped him after he was incapacitated.
Just lying. I mean, just lying. For what reason? For what reason do we have to tell these lies? Can we not just tell the truth? Can we not just talk about what's actually happening and how it's bad? Instead, we have to. They double tapped and they murdered. And all these guys walking through the woods. What a bunch of frauds. Good Lord. It's just so pathetic. Going out in the woods and walking around and filming yourself. God.
What we're doing right now, what our government's doing right now is illegal. It's unconstitutional, it's immoral, and it's also fiscally irresponsible.
Good. A fiscal argument. I love this argument. I like the yes, please. Let's talk about how it's fiscally irresponsible. I hope he weighs in on that. But it is legal. It is constitutional. The entity was stood up by Congress. It's continuously funded by Congress. And you may think that money is better spent elsewhere. And that's fine. Run on that. But you can't be saying it's murder because it's not. You can't do any of those things unless you can make out an argument how it is unconstitutional, because it's not. It is legal to go after illegal immigrants. It is legal to go after criminals. It is legal to fight back when people get into it with law enforcement. What's not legal is standing in the middle of the road. What's not legal is pushing law enforcement. What's not legal is impeding arrest. You can't do any of that. That's illegal. But sure. Continue.
Down here in Alabama, families are struggling.
Oh.
And our taxpayer dollars, are now funding murder and unconstitutional behavior across the United States. We need to rein this in.
Yeah, you're not going to do any of that either. I mean, these people are absolute clowns. Let me take you back to this, the very beginning part of this. And this can be for every single one of these individuals we've seen weigh in here. You don't know shit about this, and you don't have to comment. I was right yesterday when I said it. I'm right today when I'm saying it. I'll be right tomorrow when I say it. You don't have to do this. You can tell the truth. You can be honest. You can stand back and say, okay, this situation is not good. How do we make it better? And the answer is, yeah, send in the National Guard to provide security so ICE can do its job. That looks like what we're getting in Minnesota. Have your protests, have your marches, do all these fun things that you like to do. Go on Facebook, say the outrageous things, light the candles, say their names, do all that stuff. Go crazy. But you're not going to abolish ICE. You are not going to get them pulled out of Minnesota. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. I know that sounds like it's a hard thing for people to understand. I know. And simply put, they're just not smart. I mean, that's the reason. They are not smart. And they're trying their best to figure out a way to be relevant in these situations. So they call everyone murderers and all these other things. And they fight, and they want to have these problems. But listen, they're going to sit at home and they're going to tell you to get out there and put your lives on the line. They're not going to do it themselves. Whether they're on cable news, a broadcast channel, whether they're streamers or whatever, they're going to tell you to get out there and fight with the cops and stop this unconstitutional action, because that's what we do. We fight. I mean, not us, but other people. Other people get out there and fight. You guys go out there and fight. They're radicalizing their base and they're getting them killed. That's what's happening. It's unfortunate, but as you can see, whether the person is the governor of Minnesota or a bunch of losers running for office in Alabama, they think this is a strategy to victory. Here's the truth, though. The immigration operations are going to continue. And if you want to keep fighting these cops, bad things are going to continue to happen.